I'm sorry. Facebook is giving me fits. So I have what I believe the wheel of death going on to the left, and I am going live. And hopefully everybody can find me. I'm going to go ahead and tag Christina. Um, and Christina, if you wouldn't mind tagging other people so they know where I'm at, because this just didn't work again. Anyway, welcome to the third episode of the Pandemic Pivot podcast. Hey, Chris. So, yes, I had a Facebook malfunction again. So, um, anyway, so this is the third episode. I'm pretty excited. I am your host, Darcy Kessner Hawkins. Sorry for the glare on my glasses. I can't find a happy medium. And Chris, if you could tag people so they can find where I'm at, I would really appreciate it because it just, yeah, not a happy camper. But today, my funny is, and I'm waiting for my sister to arrive because this is where we're going to raise our vibration, right? And so, um, and Daleen is looking for me, and because I had to go in another place, I thought I tagged her, but so I want her to be here so I can tell her, right? So, um, the funny is we're talking about the inner critic. An inner critic is usually birthed by something that happens in our childhood. So I wanted to tell a childhood funny. So we've had the sibling rivalry between my sister and I ever since I could remember. And eventually we ended up liking each other, but at this point we didn't. So we're sitting in a car in front of a dealership while our mom and dad is shopping for, a new vehicle. As we're sitting in the back seat waiting for them, and this was a time where, little kids were safe to sit in the back seat of cars, my sister tells me and looks me square in the eye and she says, "Mom and Dad found you in the toilet." I naturally am appalled and upset. Well, I didn't know what appalled meant, but I was upset. So I proceeded to start screaming like I'm dying. I'm trying to find a happy medium. Like I am being murdered. And my parents come running to the car, and needless to say, Daleen got into a lot of trouble for doing that. And so, and I'm sorry, I said her name. I didn't mean to say your name. But anyway, so she gets in trouble. And then another happy incident crosses my mind as we're traveling to Disneyland. And I'm sure this is going to spark a memory for Daleen. As we're going, I, as a young child, actually, I still do get car sick. And as we're traveling to Disneyland, which from San Diego, which is a couple-hour journey, I start getting sick to my stomach and I start throwing up. Well, our mom, in her infinite wisdom, decided to take Daleen's clothes and reclothe me. So by the time we get to Disneyland, all Daleen is wearing is our mom's scarf and her underwear. And so it's just like, I'm sorry, it just those are some of the happy memories that I have. Well, there are more. There are more memories. Blue nail polish on eyelids comes to mind. Tied up and pushed off the bed onto one's face comes to memory again. I could regale you with all these different stories. It's a wonder we survived childhood. But anyway, the talk today is about coming toe to toe with our inner critic and that we are limitless. And so we're going to look at inner child, inner critic, and inner work. And, this is the week, I guess, maybe it's only a United States recognized day, but yesterday was Child's Health Day. So it's very important or synchronistic that this is what I'm talking about today, is that we need to be aware of and take care of our children, mind, body, and spirit, but not only our physical children, but our own inner child as well. And so our inner child should represent joy, happiness, playfulness, all those wonderful things that an innocence. Innocence is Daleen says she has all my love as she painted my eyelids blue with nail polish. I have all her love. I can still see, so that's a good thing. So this is all what we're supposed to have within our inner child is this, and it's our birthright. We should have playfulness, and love and joy, and we should have fond memories of our childhood. And for the most part, I did. There's something that I'll share later on that was a little horrific, but didn't come from my parents. So the other part that we're looking at is our inner critic. And during what is supposed to be a good childhood, and overall, I had a good childhood, is what happens that causes trauma, which is the birth of our inner critic. And that is from things that happen within the family dynamics or happens in um, outside of our sphere of reference. So it could be, emotional distancing from our parents without them maybe realizing that they've done it because this is how they've been conditioned through the generations, or that you've been abandoned. Hi, Betty. Oh, and hi, Chris, and thank you for doing this, and thank you for being here, Daylene. And we have a fourth person, I don't know who it is yet. And I'm glad that you're finding me because Facebook was just really difficult this morning. So if we have parents that are emotionally distanced from us, we're going to grow up with a little bit of trauma. If we have parents who abandon us, obviously that's a huge issue. If we have parents that use us as a revolving door, we're being raised by somebody else and our biological parent comes in and out like a revolving door and we don't understand why. And as a small child, we believe that it is our fault. And we internalize that and we use that for what I'm going to talk about in our inner work. But it can be as simple as being harassed uh, by somebody outside your area of influence or your parents' area of influence. And there was a story that I read of a young child. A mom's coming home from work, and normally she's, very thoughtful. Good morning, Betty. Very thoughtful, and but she comes home with a headache. She had a really bad day at work, and dad hasn't done anything for dinner, so mom has to walk in and do dinner as well. Well, the girl, as happy as she is, she's singing, she's dancing, and she has a really nice voice, but now she's getting loud. And mom is not happy because she does have a headache. And so she tells her, she goes, you need to stop what you're doing, and your voice is terrible. What do you think happened to the girl? She stopped singing. She never sang again. And she became shy and withdrawn because that little light was snuffed out of her. And it was said not intentionally to hurt the child, but mom didn't understand the power of her words. And that is what happens as parents are raising children in a really difficult situation. If they're the sole parent, if they're parenting during the pandemic. And I was one of those parents where I was being affected and wasn't always mindful of my words. So what we share, what we do can make a small impact or a huge impact where we then have our inner critic. So what do we do with our inner critic? And how do we stop that negativity coming out? Because it manifests itself as a judge in our life. And so as we're growing up, our parents are kind of treating us like Pavlov's dog. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, is that's how we know to raise the children. One, to keep them safe. You don't stick your bobby pin into a light socket or to a outlet. So those things, it's like, no. And the fear of the child getting hurt then puts a different tone in our voice than we normally interact with the child. And of course, the child picks up on it immediately. But it's the whole trying to get them to make good choices where we praise them, where they make poor choices, we punish them. And what does the punishment look like? Is it, a swat on a diapered butt to say no, no? Or is it where you're pulling hair, you're pulling on arms, and it's physical abuse? So those are the things that we have to come up against as we grow. And again, generations ago, our parents didn't understand, or they took generational conditioning and continued doing what they were doing, although what they missed in their lifetime, they focus on ensuring that their children have it. And so it's a very narrow picture compared to the picture that we should have, which is our birthright again, of being a divine child of God or creator, infinite intelligence. So after our parents are doing this conditioning of yes, good job, or no, you shouldn't be doing this, we stop being children. But this is already programmed into us. And so we start being our own judge. And we start saying, okay, so I've worn my hair in a ponytail and someone told me, well, your ears are flapping out like Dumbo. Well, I'm going to cover my ears from now on, right? And which I did. But again, it was said not in malice, but I internalized it and I didn't show my ears, or I tried not to. But now, I don't care. I wear my hair down right now because I don't know why I do. I have my hair down right now, but I wear my hair up and I show off my ears. Sometimes they stick out of my hair, and that is okay. That's okay. And that's something that I've reconciled with. And it's something small compared to other things that could cause your inner critic to be very vocal. So, what one of the major things that can affect your inner child and build your inner critic to be something more than it's not is when something happens to you from birth to age 10. This trauma, in this case, I was sexually molested. This trauma is embedded in you, and because it's your core belief, because you're so young, okay, I'm 60, but I've healed through it. So let's say conservatively, I've got 49 years worth of conditioning from that event that became part of my core belief and is embedded. And so during the pandemic, it came up and was in my face. And I went toe to toe with this, but I went toe to toe with it with someone who was helping me. And her name is Cecilia Tement. And I'm going to highlight her at some point in the comments. And she helped me heal from the first part of it. And it was so embedded in me and ingrained that it took a couple of healing sessions in addition to where she pokes me and says, knock it off, be who you're meant to be. And so the first thing, and this is, I hope I don't trigger anybody. I should put on here that it could be a trigger, is that this was my step-grandfather. And when I visualized him, this is what I saw in my head, was this big ogre of a man standing next to a neon yellow bike. And that was a vivid visualization in my head. It was never a memory, but this is how I saw it and how I saw him. And that even as an adult, I saw it, but I didn't always want to look at it. So I'm looking at this, and Cecilia helped me go from that vision to another vision where, and again, this took a long time, about a couple months, and took that vision from this ogre to a dirty old man with a beer belly standing next to a yellow bike, canary yellow bike. And so that healed to a degree where I wasn't overwhelmed and I wasn't scared that my adult self could come out and say to my inner child, I'm sorry this happened to you. I'm here to protect you. And so we had another healing session, and I was finally able to release that where I don't have that vision anymore at all. And so this is something that I can control within my head to be able to allow me to move forward. And so if you have different experiences in your childhood, you need to work with someone to help you move past what your inner critic was birthed from, and also to help you as you hear what your inner critic is saying to you. And that requires inner work. And so I don't recommend that you do inner child work alone, that you find a trusted person who is skilled in it. So you can, absolutely, I would do one-on-one coaching with you. And so you can personal message me, or you can go ahead and book on my website for a coaching appointment. And we can do a discovery call to see if this is something that's suited for you. But the bottom line is, if you don't work with me and you want to do this work, I strongly suggest that you find someone to work with, and that this is not something that you should venture in on your own, because we all need doctors. We all need therapists. We all need coaches for the different aspects of our life, because we're not born with these skills. And then we have programming and conditioning layered on us as well. So again, please do not do this on your own. But what you can do is the visualization or the picture that I had, which is not part of this podcast because I couldn't connect on Facebook, was the hands in the picture holding the baby's feet. and the feet they're at toe to toe. So that's the image of you going toe to toe with your inner critic, but you're always cupped in God or Creator's hands. You're not doing this by yourself. You're not alone, and that you are loved, and Creator is waiting for you to come back into your divine essence, your divine knowledge, and become that warrior person that you're supposed to be. So, excuse me, if we look at it and we have limiting beliefs generated by this trauma, what happens if you don't have those limiting beliefs anymore? If you sit back and you think about, okay, I have a fear of putting myself out there because when I was conditioned I believed as a child, if I kept myself hidden, then no one could see me to abuse me again. So I wouldn't get out in front of people, and I certainly wouldn't be on this podcast, right? So what would you do if you didn't have those limiting beliefs? What could you do? So that's a question that you can do, and sit there with it. Another way of self-care that you can do on your own is to sit in meditation and talk to your inner child. Tell them that you love them, that you value, as I did, and that you value her or him, and that they're protected, they're safe now. And if this resonates with you, I am so pleased that you're ready to move on this part of your journey. If it doesn't resonate, that's okay too. Know that this information is out there. And so and again, I'm going to say it again, please don't do the entire work on your own. You really need to be working with somebody. And I am looking at my notes, but if we heal, so I'm at the point of where I have healed this massive ogre in my life. How do we reinvent ourselves? What can you do? The opportunities are limitless. You can do anything you wish, and as long as it doesn't do any harm. So if you connect after you have cleared all this and you've come into right relationship with yourself, you are now aligned with the divine, and you can get the messages of what you're supposed to be doing with your life. And ideally, it is always serving humanity in some form or fashion, what your divine purpose is. If your divine purpose is to help eliminate the trash on the roads, that's your divine purpose, and it's perfect. If your divine purpose is to do a different form of impact, to be the best mother you can be with no limitations within you, to give this this knowledge, this perfect message to your children, that's fabulous. We just need to remember that we also have our humanness coming in, that we are human, we're mostly human beings with our spiritual being trying to balance everything that's going on in us. So we're going to make mistakes. We're human. And that's the other part, is to give ourselves grace and forgive ourselves. So those two tidbits, the self-care, is to meditate and connect with your inner child and tell her or him that you love him, is the self-care tip as well. And that to remember that you are human, that you make mistakes, and to give yourself grace for it. We always try to do the best we can in this moment, and everything that we do is the best we can in this moment. So again, if you're looking to move forward with this journey of inner child work, or you want coaching in any area of your life, please reach out to me. I will meet you where you're at. That's one of the benefits of coaching with me, is that I am solution focused. I'm going to meet you where you're at, and we're going to listen to where you want to go. And we're going to dive deep into what you're looking for as far as a solution, because all the solutions are within you. And I can help you, give you tools and tips to be able to actualize your life. Again, if it resonates, that's great, and I hope to hear from you. If not, that's okay too. Have a great week and a wonderful evening today, and I will see you next week on Tuesday, I believe it's the 13th at 10 a.m. for the next episode of the Pandemic Pivot podcast. And I'm trying to keep this at 20 minutes, so say yay or nay if it is the right length for you. Blessings and have a great day.